Lucy stopped at the entrance of the coffee shop and adjusted the baby on her left arm. The sidewalk was packed. People walking in, walking out, standing around talking, blocking the way. No one looked at her, as if she were transparent. Lucy cleared her throat, trying to summon a little courage. "Excuse me?" A man in a suit stepped aside sharply without meeting her gaze. A woman pulled her purse tight against her body with an instinctive, protective gesture. Lucy felt Noah's weight getting heavier on her arm. He was too quiet. Either he was sleeping or he was just too exhausted to cry anymore. "Please, can someone hold my baby for a second?" Silence, the cold indifference of the city. She repeated it, this time louder, her voice trembling slightly. "Just for a minute. I need to sing." A young woman stopped in the middle of the flow of pedestrians. She looked at the baby, then locked eyes with Lucy's tired gaze. She hesitated. But finally, she reached out her arms. Lucy handed Noah over slowly, with the delicacy of someone handing a stranger everything she owns in the world. Her fingers shook as she let go of the worn blanket wrapped around her son. "Thank you." She took 2 steps forward, finding a small space on the concrete. She closed her eyes. The noise of the street continued relentlessly. Honking cars, overlapping voices, chairs dragging on the patio. But inside her, something opened up. Lucy took a deep breath, filling her lungs with the crisp air, and she sang. The first note came out clear, powerful, with a resonance impossible to ignore. Conversations at the tables stopped dead. Someone turned their head, surprised. Another put down their smartphone. In 5 seconds, the entire coffee shop and the sidewalk fell into absolute silence. She didn't open her eyes. She just sang, letting the melody flow from an open wound. When the last note dissolved into the air, no one moved. Lucy opened her eyes slowly, fearful. She saw frozen faces staring at her, some with their mouths slightly open in shock. Others had bright, wet eyes. The young woman holding Noah had tears running down her cheeks. Silence. Then someone broke the spell and clapped. Another person joined in. Within seconds, the entire sidewalk exploded in applause. Lucy didn't know where to put her hands, overwhelmed. She gave a shy nod and reached out her arms to take Noah back, her only anchor in reality. The young woman handed the baby back and tucked a $20 bill into his blanket before walking away quickly, wiping her face. Lucy mumbled a thank you that no one heard over the noise starting up again. She turned to leave. "Wait!" The voice came from inside the shop, firm and steady. A man walked through the glass door with a mug in his hand, ignoring the customers calling for him. He was about 30-something, wearing a button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up, and a few days of stubble that gave him a tired but kind look. He stopped 2 steps away from her. "Do you study voice?" Lucy shook her head, lowering her eyes. "No." "Have you ever sung professionally?" She held Noah tighter against her chest. "No." Ben looked at her for a long moment. It wasn't the look of someone judging from above. It was the look of someone trying to figure out a puzzle that made no logical sense. "Where did you learn to sing like that?" Lucy shrugged. "Church. School. By myself." He let out a slow breath and scratched the back of his neck. "I'm Ben. I own this place. And I work with music." She didn't answer. She just looked at him, waiting for the catch. There was always a catch. "Have you eaten today?" The question took her completely by surprise. Lucy blinked. No." Ben gestured inside. "Come on, please." She hesitated. Noah shifted in her arm, making a low, weak sound. Hunger. He was hungry too. "Just to eat," Ben said, as if reading her thoughts. "Nothing else, I promise." Lucy walked in. The coffee shop was warm. It smelled of roasted beans, fresh bagels, and melted butter. The tables were busy, but Ben pointed to a quiet corner near the window. She sat down slowly, settling Noah on her lap. The baby opened his eyes and looked around without crying. Ben came back with a plate, a toasted bagel with cream cheese, ham, and a large glass of orange juice. "Eat. I'll be right back." Lucy looked at the food. Her hands shook as she picked up the bagel. She took a small bite, then another. In less than a minute, half the plate was gone. She stopped, embarrassed by her own hunger, and wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. Ben returned with a smaller bowl, mashed banana, and a little cup of yogurt. "For him," he said, pointing to Noah. Lucy felt a tightness in her chest. She picked up the spoon and started feeding her son. Noah ate slowly, making a mess, but he ate. Ben sat in the chair opposite her. He didn't say anything while she fed the baby. He just sat there, sipping his coffee, looking out the window every now and then to give her privacy. When Noah was finished, Lucy wiped his mouth with the corner of the blanket. She looked up at Ben. "Thank you. You're welcome." Pause. "What's your name?" "Lucy." "And his?" "Noah." Ben nodded. He crossed his arms on the table and leaned forward slightly. "Lucy, I want to make you a proposal. But first, I need you to be honest with me." She tensed up. "Do you have a place to stay tonight?" Lucy looked away. "We'll figure it out." "That's a no." She didn't answer. Ben took a deep breath. "I have a room in the back, behind the storage. We used to use it for stock, but it's been empty for months. It has an old bed, a small bathroom. It's not the Ritz, but it has a roof and a hot shower." Lucy looked at him again, suspicious. "And what do you want in exchange?" Ben held her gaze. "Nothing." She gave a short, humorless laugh. "Nobody gives anything for nothing." "I'm not giving it for nothing. I'm giving it because you need it, and because your son needs it." Lucy bit her lip. Noah started to feel heavy on her arm. He was asleep again, his belly full for the first time in days. "Why?" she asked, her voice low. "Why are you doing this?" Ben stayed quiet for a while. Then he spoke. "Because I've been screwed. Not like you, but screwed enough to know what it feels like when someone reaches out a hand." She looked at the baby. She looked at the empty plate. She looked at the door of the coffee shop, where the street continued to move, indifferent. "Just for tonight," she said, almost in a whisper. Ben nodded. "Just for tonight." But he didn't believe that, and deep down, neither did Lucy. Lucy closed the door of the room and leaned against it for a moment. The space was small, a twin bed against the wall, a nightstand with a broken drawer, a high window looking out into the alley. But it was clean. It smelled of disinfectant, not urine. She placed Noah in the center of the bed and made a barrier with pillows on both sides. He was sleeping deeply. The bathroom was even smaller, a shower stall with cracked glass, a stained sink, but it had hot water. Lucy turned on the shower and waited for the steam to rise before taking off her clothes. When the water touched her skin, she closed her eyes. And she remembered. Ryan laughing in the kitchen of the apartment they rented. Him frying eggs, her sitting at the small table, complaining he used too much salt. Him throwing the dish towel at her throwing it back. "Are you singing at Fernanda's wedding?" "Yeah. She asked me to. You should charge. Your voice is gold, Lou." "I'm not going to charge my cousin, Ryan." He shrugged, smiling. "All right, but when you're famous, I'm going to remind you I told you so." 3 weeks later, he was dead. Construction accident. A beam came loose. 4 men fell. Ryan was the only one who didn't survive. The wake was quick, the funeral even quicker. No one had money for anything. Lucy sang at the funeral, voice steady without crying. She only broke down afterwards, alone in the empty apartment. 2 months later, she found out she was pregnant. Lucy turned off the shower. She stood inside the stall, dripping, staring at the cracks in the wall. She tried to keep going. She worked cleaning houses until her belly grew too big. After that, no one wanted to hire her. Rent was late. Once, twice. The 3rd time, the landlord banged on the door with 2 men and an eviction notice. "I'll pay next week, I promise." "You promised last month, Lucy. I'm pregnant. Please." He didn't even look at her. "Not my problem." She left with an old suitcase and a grocery bag full of used baby clothes a neighbor had given her. She slept at a friend's place for 2 weeks, then at her cousin's, then on the couch of someone from church, until there were no more couches left, Noah was born in a public hospital. Quick labor, no complications. She held him for the first time and felt something break inside her chest. Not from pain, from fear. Fear of not making it. Fear of failing. Fear of him going hungry, cold, of him growing up with nothing. "I'm going to take care of you," she whispered in his ear, still in the maternity ward. "I promise. But promises don't pay bills." Lucy opened the bathroom door, wrapped in a thin towel that had been hanging on the hook. Noah was still asleep. She dressed slowly, putting on the same clothes as before. They were the only ones she had. The first days on the street were the worst. She looked for shelter. She got a spot in a place that took mothers with babies. But the place was loud, dirty, dangerous, drunk men shouting in the hallway, women fighting over blankets. Lucy stayed awake all night, clutching Noah, shaking with fear. She left after a week. She tried sleeping outside, but it was worse, too cold, too dangerous, so she started walking. She walked all day, asking for money, food, anything. She sang sometimes. Few people stopped. Most pretended she was invisible. Noah cried a lot in the beginning. Then he stopped, and that scared Lucy more than anything else. She lay down on the bed next to her son. She touched his face with her fingertips. He was warm, breathing slowly, safe. For the first time in months, Lucy slept without the fear of waking up to someone kicking her off the sidewalk. For the first time in months, she really slept. Lucy woke up to the smell of coffee. She opened her eyes slowly, disoriented. It took her 2 seconds to remember where she was. The small room, the bed that wasn't hers, Noah sleeping beside her, breathing deeply. There was a knock on the door. "Lucy, are you up?" Ben's voice. She sat up quickly, smoothing her hair with her hands. "I am. I brought breakfast. Can I leave it out here?" She got up, opened the door a crack. Ben was standing there with a tray, a muffin, coffee with milk, cut fruit. He handed it to her without entering. "Thank you. Later, if you want, we can talk." He walked away before she could answer. Lucy ate slowly, giving small pieces of the muffin to Noah, who chewed with his mouth open, getting crumbs everywhere. She cleaned him up with the corner of the blanket and drank the rest of the lukewarm coffee. When she left the room, the coffee shop was empty. It must have been mid-afternoon. Ben was behind the counter on his laptop. He looked up when she got close. "Sleep well?" "Yes." "Noah?" "Him too." Ben closed the laptop. "Sit here, I need to show you something." She sat on a high stool, holding Noah on her lap. Ben took out his phone and opened a video. He turned the screen toward her. It was her, singing on the sidewalk. Someone had filmed it. Lucy saw her own image on the screen, dirty clothes, messy hair, tired face. But the voice was intact, clean, strong, impossible to ignore. "They posted this last night," Ben said. "It already has almost 200,000 views." Lucy stared at the number. It didn't make sense. 200,000. Yeah, and the comments. People are asking who you are, where you're from, if you have more songs. She handed the phone back. "I don't have anything." Ben put the phone away. "But you have a voice, and that's worth a lot." Lucy shook her head. "It's not worth anything. If it was, I wouldn't be on the street." "You're on the street because you didn't get a chance, not because you don't have talent." She didn't answer. Noah started moving around, looking for something with his mouth, hungry again. "He wants to eat," she said. "There's food in the mini-fridge back there. Help yourself." Lucy got up, went to the fridge. There was yogurt, fruit, bread. She took a banana and mashed it with a fork. She gave it to Noah in small spoonfuls. He ate without complaining. Ben waited for her to finish. Then he spoke. "Lucy, I want to make you a proposal. A real proposal." She stared at him. "I have a friend who has a small studio. We could record a song, just one, to test it out, see how it sounds. Then we post it, see people's reaction. I don't have money to pay for a studio." "I know. You're not paying." "I am." Lucy frowned. "Why?" "Because I think you might have a chance, a real chance. and I want to help you take that chance." She stayed quiet for a long time. Noah rested his head on her shoulder, yawning. "What if it doesn't work?" "If it doesn't work, at least we tried." "But if it does—" Ben paused. "If it works, Lucy, you can change your life, and his life." She looked at her son, at his small face, his eyes closing with sleep again. "I don't know if I can do it." "You can. I saw you sing yesterday. Everyone saw you." Lucy felt something rise in her throat, something she had pushed down for months. Hope, fear, the desire to believe. "Okay," she said, almost voiceless. "We'll try." Ben smiled. It wasn't a big smile. It was small, sincere. "Great. Tomorrow we go to the studio." That night, after the shop closed, Ben brought more food. Rice, beans, shredded chicken. He sat with her at the small table in the room, eating in silence. "Do you have family?" he asked after a while. "I did, but we drifted apart." "Why?" Lucy pushed the rice around with her fork. "Because I got pregnant. Because I was with a guy they didn't like. Because I didn't follow the path they wanted." "And Noah's dad?" She stopped eating. "He died before Noah was born." Ben didn't say anything. He just sat there, waiting. "Work accident," Lucy continued. "He was a construction worker. Fell. Didn't even have time to know he was going to be a dad." "I'm sorry," she shrugged. "Me too." They finished eating in silence. Ben gathered the plates, but didn't leave right away. "Lucy, you don't have to go through this alone. Not anymore." She looked at him. She saw something in his eyes she hadn't seen in a long time. Honesty. No judgment. No pity. Just humanity. "Why are you doing this?" she asked again. "Really?" Ben sighed. "Because 3 years ago my brother died. Overdose. He was living on the street for months and I didn't know. When I found out, it was too late." He stopped, swallowed hard. "I couldn't save him, but I can help you." Lucy felt her eyes burn. She blinked fast. "I'm sorry." "Me too." They sat there, in the heavy silence of the small room, each carrying their losses. But for the first time, neither of them was alone with them. Noah made a little noise in his sleep. Lucy stood up, adjusted him in the bed, covered him with the blanket. When she turned around, Ben was already at the door. "Tomorrow at 10, he said. "We go to the studio. Tomorrow at 10. He nodded and closed the door. Lucy lay down next to her son. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't just feel fear of tomorrow. She felt something else. Small, fragile, but real hope. Morning came with the sound of dishes clattering in the sink of the coffee shop. Lucy opened her eyes, saw Noah awake, staring at the ceiling. He wasn't crying, just looking, quiet. She picked him up and walked out of the room. Ben was making coffee. He turned when he heard the door. "Good morning." "Good morning. Coffee?" "Please." He poured her a steaming cup. Lucy took a sip, feeling the heat go down her throat. Noah moved his arms, looking for food. "There's oatmeal over there." Ben pointed to the small pot on the stove. "I made it for him." Lucy took a bowl, filled it with warm oatmeal. She sat at one of the empty tables and started spoon-feeding Noah. He ate slowly, making a mess, but without complaining. Ben sat across from her with a glass of juice. "The studio is close. We'll walk. 10 minutes. "Okay. Did you think about what song you want to sing?" Lucy stopped with the spoon in mid-air. "No. Is there one you like, that you know by heart?" She thought. There were so many. Church songs. Songs she sang to Ryan. Songs her mother sang when Lucy was a kid. "Amazing Grace," she said. Ben nodded. "Good choice." An hour later, they were on the street. Lucy carried Noah in her arm, looking around. The city seemed different in the morning, less threatening. Ben walked beside her, unhurried. The studio was on the second floor of an old building. Narrow stairs, wooden door with peeling paint. Ben rang the bell. A man opened it. Tall, thin, tattoos on his arms. "Hey, man." "Hey, Mike, this is Lucy." Mike looked at her, then at Noah. "Cool, come in." The studio was small. Equipment stacked up, cables everywhere, an old couch in the corner. But it had a booth with thick glass and a microphone hanging in the center. "Sit there," Mike pointed to the couch. "I'm going to set everything up." Lucy sat with Noah on her lap. He looked at everything, fascinated by the blinking lights on the equipment. Ben stood next to her. "Don't worry, we'll do it on your time." 15 minutes later, Mike waved from the control booth. "Ready?" Lucy went into the booth. The silence was strange, muffled. She stood in front of the mic, not knowing where to put her hands. "You can start whenever you want," Mike's voice came through the headphones she had put on. Lucy closed her eyes. She thought about Ryan, about Noah, about all the cold nights on the street, about all the times she had sung to keep from going crazy, and she started. Her voice filled the booth, clean, strong, loaded with everything she couldn't say with words. Ben stood frozen on the other side of the glass, watching her. Mike stopped touching the buttons. When she finished, no one spoke for a moment. Then Mike took off his headphones. "Damn," Ben smiled. "I told you." They recorded 2 more times. The third time, it was perfect. Lucy came out of the booth sweating, shaking a little. Noah was asleep on the couch, wrapped in Ben's jacket. "Can I hear it?" she asked. Mike hit play. Her voice came out of the speakers. Lucy stood listening, motionless. It didn't sound like her. It sounded like someone stronger, someone who hadn't given up. When the music ended, she wiped her eyes quickly. "Was it good?" "It was incredible," Ben said. The next few days became a routine. Lucy woke up early. Ben brought coffee and food for Noah. They ate together at the small table in the room or in the empty shop before opening. Then she gave her son a bath. Warm water, soap that smelled like lavender, clean towel. Noah laughed when she washed his hair. It was the first time Lucy saw him really laugh. She took long showers too, washed her hair 2-3 times, stayed under the water until her skin turned red. Not out of necessity, but because she could. Because there was hot water. Because she had time. Ben brought clothes, nothing new, thrift store clothes. But clean, no tears, no stains, jeans that fit, 2 shirts, a thick hoodie, baby clothes for Noah, diapers, wipes. "You don't have to do this," Lucy said when he showed up with another bag. "I know. Seriously, you've already done too much." Ben put the bag on the bed. "Let me help, Lucy. Please." She didn't argue anymore. In the afternoon, Ben taught her how to use the computer, how to post a video, how to reply to comments, how to create an account. Lucy typed slowly, reading every word twice. "People are asking your name." Ben showed the screen. "They're asking you to sing more. And what do? You reply. You thank them. You show them you're real." She looked at the comments. Hundreds, thousands, words in Portuguese, English, Spanish, French. People saying they cried, that her voice touched their heart, that they wanted to hear more. Lucy didn't know what to feel. "This is weird," she said. "Yeah, but it's good too." Mike came back a few days later with the mixed track. They listened together. Lucy held Noah, rocking him to the rhythm of her own voice. Ben stayed silent until the end. "We post it today," he said. "Today? Today?" They filmed a short video. Lucy, sitting in the small room, Noah on her lap, the music playing in the background. No filter, no editing, just her son, and the truth. "My name is Lucy. This is my story." Ben posted it on his channel, on social media, everywhere he could think of. Then they waited. An hour, 2, nothing. Lucy gave Noah a bath, changed his diaper, put him to sleep. When she came back, Ben was staring at his phone with his mouth open. "What is it?" He turned the screen. 50,000 views. In 2 hours. Lucy watched the number climbing. 52,000. 55. 60. "Is this real?" "It is." She sat down slowly on the bed. "Now what?" Ben put the phone away. "Now we wait, and we see where this goes." That night, Lucy couldn't sleep. She lay staring at the ceiling, listening to Noah breathe beside her. She thought about everything that had happened in the last week. The coffee shop, Ben, the studio, the music, the people. She thought about Ryan. What he would say if he were there. "I told you you were going to be famous." She smiled in the dark, turned on her side, hugged the pillow. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel afraid of tomorrow. She didn't feel the crushing weight of uncertainty. She felt something different. She felt that maybe, just maybe, things could be okay. Lucy woke up to Ben's phone ringing in the hallway. She heard his muffled voice through the door, excited, fast. He was talking to someone, but she couldn't understand the words. Noah moved beside her. She placed her hand on his chest, feeling his breathing. Calm, safe. There was a light knock on the door. "Lucy, come in." Ben opened the door with his phone in his hand. His face was red. "You need to see this." He sat on the edge of the bed and opened the video. The view count was blinking at the top of the screen. 3 million. Lucy blinked. "That's wrong." "It's not wrong. It's real. 3 million in 4 days. He scrolled down. Comments filling the page, hundreds per minute. "She sings better than a lot of famous artists." Cried from start to finish. "What is that voice, oh my God?" "Beautiful story. Stay strong, Lucy." Lucy read in silence. Every word seemed unreal, like they were talking about someone else. "There's more," Ben said. He opened another tab. 2 news sites talked about you. A TV show wants to interview you." "What?" "Seriously. They sent a message this morning." Lucy took his phone, read the message. Formal words, official invite, suggested date. "I can't do this." "Why not?" "Because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to talk on TV. You just need to be you. Tell your story." She handed the phone back. "I don't know." Ben put the device in his pocket. "Okay, we'll think about that later. But Lucy, this is big. Bigger than we imagined." She nodded but said nothing. In the following days, the number only grew. 5 million. 8. 10. The video appeared on international pages, people from other countries commenting in English, Spanish, French. Lucy tried to read the comments, but there were too many. Ben created an Instagram account for her. The messages started coming in, hundreds a day. Most were compliments, people saying she inspired them, that her voice was a gift. But not all of them were like that. Bet it's a lie, all staged. She doesn't even look that poor. Clean clothes, hair done, fake, exploiting her own misery for views. Sad. Did anyone investigate if this story is true? Because I doubt it. Lucy read those too. Slowly, every word squeezing something inside her chest. "Don't listen to that," Ben said when she showed him. "There's always people like that. It's part of it." "But what if they're right?" "Right about what?" "That I don't deserve this, that I'm fooling everyone." Ben stopped what he was doing and looked at her. "Lucy, you slept on the street with a baby in your arms. You starved. You sang on a sidewalk begging for anything. How are you fooling anyone?" She looked away. "I don't know. But it feels wrong." "It's not wrong. It's fair." But the feeling didn't leave. At night, Lucy stayed awake reading comments. The good ones and the bad ones. The bad ones stuck more, went deeper, made her question everything. Will they find out I lied to my family? Will they find Ryan and say he didn't die that way? Will they take Noah away from me because I don't have a real home? The questions didn't stop. A week later, someone posted a video responding to hers. A woman with millions of followers. She spoke to the camera with a firm voice. "You guys need to stop romanticizing poverty. This isn't inspiring, it's exploitation. This woman is being used to generate views and money, and you're buying it." The video went viral too. 2 million views in a day. The comments split, half defending Lucy, half agreeing with the woman. "She's right. This is poverty porn. It's not fair to use the baby to get attention. Where's the proof she actually lived on the street?" Ben tried to calm her down. "This will pass. It's drama. People forget fast." But Lucy didn't forget. She started coming out of the room less. She spent the whole day lying down with Noah, staring at the ceiling. She didn't sing anymore, didn't eat right, just stayed there, trapped inside her own head. What if they're right? What if I'm not good enough? What if all this is just pity? Ben knocked on the door on a Tuesday afternoon. "Lucy, open up." She didn't answer. "Please." She got up slowly, opened the door a crack. Ben had a bag in his hand. "I bought some stuff for Noah and brought food for you." "Thank you." She took the bag and tried to close the door. Ben held it. "Are you okay?" "I am." "No, you're not. I can see you're not." Lucy let go of the handle. "I can't take it anymore, Ben. The comments, people saying it's a lie, that I'm fooling everyone." "You're not fooling anyone." "But what if I am? What if I don't deserve any of this?" Ben walked into the room and closed the door. He stood in front of her. "Lucy, look at me." She looked. "You deserve it. You always deserved it. What happened to you was unfair. But this is life giving you back a little of what it took." Lucy shook her head. "I can't believe that." "Then believe me." She stayed quiet. Noah started crying in the back of the room. She went to him, picked him up, rocked him slowly. He stopped crying but stayed restless. "I need to get out of here," she said, almost in a whisper. "Go where?" "I don't know, but I can't stay. I can't keep doing this." Ben took a step forward. "Lucy, don't do this." "I have to." "Where are you going to go? With Noah? Back to the street?" She didn't answer. That night after the coffee shop closed, Lucy waited for the silence to take over the building. She gathered the few things she had: clothes, diapers, Noah's old blanket. Put everything in a bag. She picked up her son, opened the door slowly. The hallway was dark. She walked in silence to the back exit. The street was empty, cold, familiar. Lucy took a deep breath and started walking. Lucy walked for 20 minutes before realizing she didn't know where she was going. The streets were deserted, cold wind cutting her face. Noah slept in her arm, bundled in the blanket. She squeezed him closer to her chest and kept walking. The bus station appeared 3 blocks later. Dim lights, rusted metal benches, 2 people waiting far apart from each other. Lucy sat in the darkest corner and put the bag on the floor. She looked at the schedule board. Didn't matter which bus. Any of them would do. Just needed to get out of there. "Lucy!" She turned her head fast. Ben was standing 5 meters away, no coat, breathing hard. He had run. "How did you find me?" "I saw you leaving. I followed you." She turned her face away. "Go back to the shop, Ben. I've decided." "Decided what? To go back to the street?" "Decided to stop pretending I can have a different life." Ben took a few steps forward, sat on the bench next to her, but left space between them. "You're not pretending anything." "Yes, I am. I'm pretending I deserve that room, that food, those clothes. I'm pretending people actually like my voice and not just because they pity me." "Nobody pities you." Lucy gave a laugh without humor. "Everyone pities me." "You too." Ben stayed quiet for a moment. A bus passed without stopping. The noise filled the silence and then vanished. "You want to know the truth," he said, looking straight ahead. "I don't pity you. I feel anger." Lucy turned to him. "Anger? Anger that you're throwing everything away? Anger that you're letting random people on the internet decide who you are? Anger that you can't see what I see?" "And what do you see?" Ben finally looked at her. "I see a woman who survived, who protected her son when she had nothing, who sang on a sidewalk because it was the only thing she knew how to do, and who has a voice that makes people stop and feel something real." Lucy looked away. "That doesn't change anything." "It changes everything." She shook her head. "You don't understand. I spent my whole life being invisible, and now suddenly everyone is looking. And I don't know how to be seen. I don't know how not to disappoint. You don't need to know. You just need to be you. What if I'm not enough?" Ben took a deep breath. He ran a hand through his hair, looked at the dark sky. "When my brother died," he started slowly, "I spent months blaming myself, thinking if I had looked for him, if I had insisted more, if I had forced him to take help, he'd be alive." Lucy stayed quiet, listening. "I went into depression, closed the shop for 2 months, didn't answer the phone, didn't leave the house. Thought I didn't deserve to keep living when he couldn't. He stopped, swallowed hard. Until one day a friend showed up at my house, broke down the door, dragged me to the shower, made me eat, and said one thing I never forgot. What? Ben looked at her again. She said, "You aren't your pain. You are what you do with it." Lucy felt a tightness in her throat. "And what did you do?" "I opened the shop again, started helping people on the street, donated food, talked to whoever needed it. Not because it would bring my brother back, but because it was the only thing that made sense." He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "And when I saw you singing on that sidewalk, Lucy, I saw him, saw what he could have been if someone had given him a chance. And I wasn't going to let you disappear too." Lucy felt her eyes fill up. She blinked, but it didn't help. The tears ran hot down her face. "I'm so scared," she whispered. "I know. Scared of failing, scared of losing Noah, scared of waking up and finding out all this was a dream. It's not a dream, it's real, and you're not alone in this." Noah moved in her arm. He opened his eyes slowly, looked around, didn't cry, just lay there, quiet, feeling the cold. Lucy looked at her son, at his small face, at the eyes that trusted her without question. "I don't want him to grow up ashamed of me," she said, her voice breaking. "He won't. He'll grow up proud, because his mom didn't give up." Lucy wiped her face with the back of her hand. "What if I can't do it?" "You can, but not alone. Let me help you. Let people help you." She stayed in silence for a long time. A car drove slowly down the street. A woman came out of the station with a small suitcase. The wind blew cold. "I don't know how to do this," Lucy said finally. "Do what?" "Accept help. Trust. Believe I deserve it." Ben turned fully toward her. "You don't need to believe right now. You just need to try. One day at a time." Lucy looked at him, saw tiredness in his face, concern, but also something else. Something she hadn't seen in anyone for a long time. Hope. Not hope in himself. Hope in her. "One day at a time," she repeated softly. "That's it." Noah yawned. Lucy adjusted the blanket around him, protecting him from the cold. "What if I go back and it doesn't work? We try again. What if people keep talking? Let them talk." Lucy took a deep breath, felt the freezing air entering her lungs, felt Noah's weight on her arm, felt the cold bench underneath her, felt that she had a choice: give up or try. She stood up slowly, picked the bag up from the floor. Ben stood up too, waiting. "I'll go back," she said, "but only because you're too annoying to give up on me." Ben smiled. It was a small, tired smile, but real. "I really am." They walked back in silence. The streets were still empty, the cold still cut, but it seemed different now. Less threatening, less lonely. When they got to the coffee shop, Ben opened the back door. Lucy went in first, went straight to the room, put Noah on the bed, covered him with a blanket. Ben stopped at the door. "Do you need anything?" Lucy turned to him. "I need you to promise me something." "What?" "If I start to give up again, you don't let me." Ben nodded. "Promise. Even if I get mad. Even then. Even if I say I want to leave. Even then." Lucy let out a slow breath. "Okay." Ben left and closed the door. Lucy lay down next to Noah, closed her eyes, and for the first time she didn't try to push the fear down. She let it exist, but she didn't let it win. 3 months later, Lucy was standing on the small stage of the same coffee shop where it all started. The tables were full, people sitting, standing, leaning against the walls. Ben had warned her it would be like this, that people would want to see her in person, but Lucy hadn't really believed it. Until now. She held the microphone with both hands. Noah was on Ben's lap at the first table, wearing a clean outfit, hair combed. He was eating pieces of banana, smiling at everyone who looked at him. "Good evening," Lucy said. The voice came out steadier than she expected. Conversation stopped. Everyone looked at her. I don't know how to make speeches, but I wanted to say thank you for being here, for believing." She stopped, breathed. 3 months ago, I was out there asking someone to hold my son while I sang. I didn't know if I was going to be able to eat that day. Didn't know where I was going to sleep. Total silence. Today I know, and that is because of you. Someone clapped. Others joined in. Lucy waited for the noise to die down. This first song is for everyone who has ever felt invisible. She closed her eyes and sang. Her voice filled the small space of the coffee shop. Every note loaded with everything she had lived. People didn't take their eyes off her. Some cried in silence. Others held the hands of the person next to them. When the music ended, no one moved for 3 seconds. Then the shop exploded in applause. Lucy opened her eyes. Saw Ben standing up, clapping with Noah in his arms. Saw the young woman who had held Noah that day, crying at the second table. Saw strangers standing, smiling at her, and felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Belonging. After the show, people lined up to talk to her, asking for a photo, an autograph, telling their own stories. Lucy listened to every single one, held their hands, thanked them. An older woman waited until the end. "My daughter lived on the street too," she said, her voice shaking. "She died last year, but when I heard you sing, I felt her close to me." Lucy hugged the woman. They stood there, in the middle of the almost empty shop, 2 strangers sharing the same pain. When the last person left, Lucy sat on the nearest chair. Noah was already asleep in the stroller Ben had bought. A second-hand stroller, but with wheels that worked. "You were incredible," Ben said, sitting next to her. "I was shaking the whole time." Nobody noticed. She smiled, tired. "Thank you for everything." "Stop thanking me." "Never." The apartment was 15 minutes from the shop. A 1-bedroom on the 3rd floor of an old building. No elevator, with a leak in the bathroom wall. But it was hers. Ben had helped with the first month's rent. Lucy paid the second with money from the first shows. It wasn't much, but it was hers. She walked in, turned on the light. Futon in the corner. Small crib near the window. 2-burner stove. Fridge that made a weird noise, but it had a door that locked. It had hot water. It had safety. Lucy laid Noah in the crib. He didn't even wake up. She stood there, watching him sleep, touching his face lightly. "We made it," she whispered. The next week, a journalist came to interview her at the coffee shop. Young woman, nice, with a small recorder. "How would you describe these last few months?" Lucy thought before answering. "Scary and beautiful. Did you imagine your life would change like this?" "No, I just wanted to survive. Now I want to live." The interview came out 3 days later on a big news site. Views exploded again. More comments, more messages. But this time, Lucy didn't read them all. She picked the ones she wanted to see, ignored the rest. Ben got the first offer from an indie label on Friday. 3-song contract. Nothing huge, but real. "Do you want to take it?" he asked. Lucy held the paper, reading every line slowly. "I do, but on one condition." "What?" "You keep being my manager." Ben blinked. "I'm not even a manager." "You are now." He laughed. It was the first time Lucy saw him really laugh since they met. "Okay, we do this together." The first song came out a month later. No expensive production, no fancy music video, just Lucy singing in Mike's studio with Noah playing in the background. In a week, it had 500,000 streams. Lucy checked the number on her phone 3 times. Didn't seem real. "It is real," Ben said when she showed him. 500,000 people. 500,000 people. She put the phone away, picked Noah up. He had grown. He was heavier, healthier, laughed more, slept better. "We're okay," she said, more to herself than to Ben. "You are." Lucy looked out the window of the shop, saw the sidewalk where she had sung for the first time, saw people walking by, rushing without looking up. She had been one of them, invisible, desperate, alone. But she wasn't anymore 2 years later. Lucy walked into the hall holding Noah's hand. He was 3 now, walked on his own, spoke full sentences, asked about everything. "Mom, is this it?" "This is it." The place was simple. White walls, some folding chairs, a small stage in the back, but it was hers. Well, not just hers, it was all of theirs. The project had started 6 months ago. Lucy used part of the money from shows to rent the space. Ben helped with the rest. The idea was simple. Welcome mothers experiencing homelessness who had some artistic talent. Give temporary shelter, food, support, and most importantly, give opportunity. 3 women were waiting. One with an old guitar, another with a notebook full of poems, the third with a child in her arms, no more than 6 months old. "Good morning," Lucy said. They answered quietly, suspicious. Lucy recognized that look. It had been hers not so long ago. "Did you guys come for the ad?" The 3 nodded. "Great, let's talk." They sat in a circle. Lucy listened to every story, every pain, every reason that had led them there. Didn't interrupt, didn't judge, just listened. When they finished, she spoke. "I know what it's like. I've been there, and I know it's hard to believe someone wants to help for real, but I do, and we're gonna do this together." The woman with the guitar wiped her eyes. "Thank you." In the following months, the project grew. More women, more stories, more talents hidden by poverty. Lucy organized small shows, filmed videos, shared on social media. Some of them got jobs. Others went back to their families. One signed a contract with a publisher to print her poems. Lucy didn't save everyone. Some gave up, others disappeared. But the ones who stayed changed. Ben continued by her side. Official manager now. He managed the schedule, negotiated contracts, handled the paperwork. Lucy handled the music. And Noah. The boy grew fast, healthy, curious, loved. She took him to the shows. He stayed backstage, drawing, playing, listening to his mom sing. "When I grow up, I'm gonna sing just like you," he said one night. Lucy smiled. "You're gonna sing your own way. And it's gonna be beautiful." On a Saturday afternoon, Lucy was organizing the hall for the night's show when a woman appeared at the door. Young, thin, with a little girl in her arms. "Is this Lucy's project?" "Yeah, come in." The woman walked in slowly, looked around. I saw on Instagram that you help moms who are going through hard times." "I do." The woman took a deep breath. "I have a daughter, and I know how to play guitar, learned by myself. But I lost my job, lost my apartment, and now—" She stopped. Her voice failed. Lucy walked closer. "Do you want to be part of the show tonight?" The woman blinked. "Can I?" "You can. If you want to." She looked at her daughter, then at Lucy. "But I don't have anyone to leave her with." Lucy reached out her arms. "You can give her to me. I'll hold her." The woman hesitated, then handed the child over. "Thank you." She picked up the guitar, leaning against the wall, tuned the strings, took a deep breath, and played. Lucy stood there, rocking the girl slowly, listening to the music fill the empty hall. She closed her eyes and remembered everything. The cold sidewalk, the fear, the hunger, the voice that saved her when nothing else could. When the woman finished, Lucy opened her eyes. "You are very good." The woman gave a small, embarrassed smile. "Thank you." Lucy handed the child back. They stood there. 2 mothers, 2 survivors, looking at each other with an understanding that didn't need words. "Welcome," Lucy said. That night, when the lights went down and the hall filled with people, Lucy went up on stage with Noah by her side. She looked at the audience, saw familiar faces, new faces, saw the woman with the guitar sitting in front, holding her daughter, saw hope where before there was only despair. "Music saved me," Lucy said into the microphone. "And now I use it to save other people, because everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves to be heard." She grabbed the microphone with both hands and sang. Music can be many things: entertainment, art, profession. But for those who have nothing else, music is the bridge between despair and hope, between silence and a voice, between being lost and being found.